Rams house, we are live right now celebrating the Myles Garrett trade. Oh my goodness, guys. We just put out a video breaking this one down, but I am over the moon right now. I just had to, as soon as this happened, I knew. I was like, we've got to go live. We have to be live with the Ramily to celebrate this thing, but I'm sure also to answer the million follow-up questions that are there for you right now. And for some of you, if we're breaking news to you right now, let's give you the trade details because you probably haven't seen them yet. The Rams are getting Myles Garrett, the best player in the NFL if you throw out positional value. I keep saying that. Obviously, quarterbacks have the biggest positional value, but I truly think Myles Garrett, if you're going to go regardless of that, he is the most talented player at what he does in the NFL. Nobody makes a bigger impact when you consider the impact their position is likely to make than Myles Garrett does from the edge. And he is now a Los Angeles Ram. In exchange, the Cleveland Browns are receiving Jared Verse, our 2023 first-round draft pick, 2027 first-round draft pick, a 2028 second-round draft pick, and a 2029 third-round pick. So a lot of picks go in Cleveland's direction, and a big-time young star in Jared Verse as well, but in exchange for the best defensive player in the NFL easily, and I would say, again, the best player in the NFL, regardless of positional value. So, Ramily, let me know right now, how do we feel? What is your one-word reaction to this trade? And I'm going to start greeting people in the chat while we get it going, while we celebrate this thing. Give me one-word reactions, Ramily. I see Oliver Garrett in there. I see Time Man the Buckeye, Tim M6, what's up? Oliver Garrett, Hyena Eats. Hey, we got SGA in the chat. SGA is hanging out with us, man. I know. Apparently he's got nothing else to do after the Thunder went down. For those of you who know, I am a big Thunder fan, so that was brutal for me. We've got Anointed Stan, Texans fan here. Hope to see y'all in the Super Bowl. I really like the Rams. Hopefully we see you there. Anthony says Super Bowl was his first reaction. Mr. CJ says his first reaction was holy shit. And I hear you there, my friend. I'm right there with you. RA916 is saying Super Bowl was his first reaction. Hey, exactly where my mind went, Rams fans. And I was talking to our Patriots host, who was in here talking with me before we got this going, and he told me our odds are plus 600. We're plus 600 for the Super Bowl right now, guys. Plus 600. Unbelievable. Oliver Garrett is saying, SGA, bro, you choked against San Antonio. He didn't really choke. He had a great game in Game 7. It's Chet Holmgren, as producer Gage is saying. If you want to mic up, Gage, feel absolutely free to join the conversation. Mr. CJ said, brother, I did not expect this one at all. No, I did not either. I absolutely did not either. There was rumors. We had seen the rumors coming in. Obviously, there was a big-time tweet. Easton Butler had one out there saying, like, hey, this is possible. He said it was a Ricky Williams trade package. It didn't really end up being the case. It's a big trade, but it's not a Ricky Williams package on the Rams' end, which is what I was going to say. In a video that we were in the middle of filming before we got cut off to do the news, because the news broke in the middle of us filming that video. But, again, yeah, did not expect this one at all. Peter is saying, wow. RA said they started jumping out of joy. Dude, I screamed when they told me this news. I screamed. I let out like a primal yell when I heard this news. It was unbelievable. I would do it right now, but I'd probably get banned from YouTube. Ian just confirmed the trade details. Go look at it. I think we just had, can we pop the trade details back up just for anyone that's just rolling in as we are over? We got 50 members of the Ramily hanging out right now on the chat. But yes, Rams received Myles Garrett, Jared Verse, 2027 first, 2028 second, and 2029 third round pick going in the direction of the Cleveland Browns. So those are the trade details as we have them at this exact time. Oliver Garrett is saying, LA is better, bro. We told you this a long time. Definitely, unless you're talking about the Lakers better than the Thunder. No. I found it extremely cheap. All right. I don't know. I wouldn't agree that it's extremely cheap. I think you give up a lot to go get a lot, right? Like, you get what you pay for in life generally, and this is a huge example of that. As I see Aiden saying, what's my opinion on this trade? My opinion is this is an enormous win for the Los Angeles Rams. A huge win for this team. And we broke this down in depth in the VOD, but what I'm really focused on is how aggressive Les Snead is willing to be with this play. And I know a lot of people got frustrated about the draft pick of Ty Simpson because they didn't feel like it matched a win now timeline. But I think at the end of the day, it's 4D chess, right, guys? Les is smarter than we are. Les is so much smarter than we are. You know what I mean? He drafts Ty Simpson knowing he can create an opportunity to trade for somebody like Myles Garrett when he does that. That's why you do it. That's exactly why you go out and get Ty. That's something that I think Rams fans need to register on this, is you do not get Myles Garrett if you do not have Ty Simpson. If you did not draft Ty, if he's not there in Rams gear right now at Rams OTAs, looking like a phenom already, Myles Garrett is not a Los Angeles Ram, because you cannot be that aggressive with your draft capital if you still have to go get somebody to replace Matt Stafford. At the end of the day, it's as simple as that, right? This trade is only possible because of Ty. And I know a lot of people don't like Ty, but that is exactly the truth. Let's go back to the chat here. Let's see what we got going on here, because I'm fired up about that. I think it's absolutely true. How long do they get Myles for all of this? He's under contract for the next 3 seasons, as I understand it. I need to double check that. RA says he thought it would require 3 first-rounders. I definitely understand that mentality. I think you don't throw Verse in the deal. You are looking at a 3 first-round pick. I value there. I think if you total it all up at the end of the day, it probably is similar to giving up 3 first-rounders and what we gave up, just different ways of going about getting to that same amount of value, if that makes sense. A lot of people spamming, let's go Rams. I love it. I love it. Garrett is a lot more productive than Verse, says Guy Smithson, and that is absolutely true. Again, you're looking at a massive upgrade here, a huge tier gap between these two guys. At the end of the day, and I love Jared Verse. I say that with so much respect for what Jared Verse was able to do in Los Angeles and the player that he is. But at the end of the day, Myles Garrett is truly the best edge defender and best player on the defensive side of the ball in the NFL. Jared Verse just isn't in that category yet. I mean, maybe one day, but not yet. And we need somebody that can elevate our defense in that caliber if we want to be as win now as we want to be. And again, Les Snead shows, despite the drafting of Ty Simpson, despite the draft not being what we expected, this team is still as focused on winning a 2026 Super Bowl as ever. And we're going to continue to break that down after I give a shout out to the sponsor of today's stream, guys, our friends over at Prize Picks. Guys, if you love daily fantasy sports or you just want to add more excitement to watching sports, you've got to try out America's #1 sports picks app, Prize Picks. And it's a great time to get started on Prize Picks, too, with the NBA playoffs underway and the baseball season in full swing as well. There's just no better place to get in on all that action than with our friends over at Prize Picks. And it's never been easier to play than it is with Prize Picks. Guys, all you have to do to play is pick 2 to 6 players. You're selecting more or less on their stat projections, whether you're picking from points, assists, rebounds, hits, home runs, or strikeouts. They've got plenty of options from all your favorite sports. Plus, Prize Picks has awesome social features that allow you to easily tailor fade your friends or your favorite creators, including me. I'm Jackson Durham with no spaces, and you guys can drop a follow and see all of my latest lineups, including this one that I've got going for the NBA Finals for Game 1. We're going with the more on Jalen Brunson, the more on Karl Anthony Towns, and the more on Stephon Castle. So you guys can tell me on this lineup, you can fade me on this lineup, whatever you do, just do it with our friends over at Prize Picks. And if you're brand new to Prize Picks, make sure you use our promo code. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code HMA when you play your first $5 lineup to receive $50 in lineups. That's code HMA when you play your first $5 lineup to get an extra $50 in lineups with Prize Picks. Clickable link to download the app is in the comments and the description below. As always, big shout out to Prize Picks for sponsoring today's video. Let's get back to celebration time, my friends. Because, my goodness, doesn't that image just make you happy? Doesn't that photo just like put a smile on your face? My boss sent me this. He made it for me just to tweet out real quick. He's like, hey, I just threw this together for you, Grok. And dude, the big dumb smile on my face. I looked like a 5th grader when you tell them they're going to Disneyland. Myles Garrett and Sean McVay, side by side. And this one's not real, but we're going to have a real picture that looks like this really, really soon with him holding an updated jersey. And oh my goodness, I just cannot wait. I just cannot wait. I'm over the moon right now, guys. I said this in our video, but I think every Rams fan has to be just over the moon right now about this trade. But I'm sure you also have a few questions about this trade as well. And so I want to answer them. I want to try to answer as many questions that you guys have about this trade as possible. So to get on the show, producer Gage can pull your question. He can turn it into a super cool looking graphic that's going to replace our great photo of Myles Garrett and Sean McVay. If you send in the chat, #Rams, and then follow #Rams with your question, it will pull through to our databases and we can get that graphic and I can answer your question right here on the stream.
I'm showing them an example right now.
Perfect. Great job, Gage. Great job, Gage, with that #Rams. So Gage showing you an example of how you can format it. Give us a question if you have a question with #Rams in the chat below. We are going to be answering questions throughout today's stream because I am sure there are a number of them right now. Yes, we got one in from Sonox Films, so we'll be getting that one up very soon. Here we go. What about Puka's extension and Kobe's and Byron's? This is a really good question. This is a very good question because this immediately, now that you have Myles Garrett in place, becomes the follow-up question of, okay, where does Puka's money factor into this deal? Where does Puka's money factor into the thought process behind this? What about Kobe and what about Byron? And I think there's a couple things that we're going to have to accept realities on. To some degree, Byron Young may no longer be part of the long-term thinking for the Rams. Even with Jared Verse off the roster, I don't know that they're going to be able to afford him if they also keep Kobe Turner. Myles Garrett is just so much more expensive than what you would have paid otherwise, than what you would have brought on otherwise. He's going to want a new big contract coming up soon, and you're going to want to give Puka that money. So I think the calculus now becomes Kobe or Byron. Kobe or Byron, because you're keeping Puka for sure. There is no doubt in my mind, and I've told you guys this before, that Puka will get his money. That contract is coming in due time. But the question now is more about Kobe and more about Byron. Having Myles, I think, makes Kobe more of an if than a win, because in the past, I would have told you Kobe's definitely going to get paid. Kobe's definitely going to be a long-term anchor of this defensive line, but that anchor is now Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett is now the feature piece of that defensive line. They'll build around Myles Garrett to keep him for the long term. He's got a future in Los Angeles that is not just trying to win a Super Bowl in 2026 and moving on. That's not why you don't give up as much as the Rams just gave up for a single-year plan. This is a long-term thought process with Myles Garrett. He's meant to be here for a while. But I do think that changes the calculus of Kobe and Byron. I do think they likely keep one of them. If I had to tell you which one right now, still going to be Kobe Turner. And again, I've been consistent on that for a long time. I think Kobe Turner is a more vital piece to this team's success on defense than Byron Young is. And again, that's not to disrespect Byron Young. I love Byron Young. He's a great player. I love Agent Zero. But at the end of the day, you've got Myles Garrett now. And Kobe Turner's ability to impact from the interior is huge to have alongside Myles Garrett. So I think keeping those two together and, of course, keeping Puka is going to occupy a lot of the Rams' cap space, and that's going to be the priority of it. I think they're going to extend Puka, and then they'll probably work on a long-term extension with Myles Garrett, and then they'll factor money from there for Kobe and Byron. We got more questions coming in. Here we go. From Gaming with CP, 5594. Would you think this trade comes with a contract extension for Garrett? Yes, absolutely it does. Yes, you are going to want to keep Myles Garrett around for the long term. because of the value you gave up in going out to get him. And I got to double check and make sure. I am very confident that Garrett is under contract for the next 3 seasons, but I want to verify that that is the case. Just to do so real quickly. Yes, he is under contract for, until 2030, actually. So the next 4 seasons, Myles Garrett is already under contract. So maybe not a true contract extension, but probably a rework of that deal to give him some more money. Maybe the better explanation of what's likely to come, because he does have money on that deal. There's a lot of guarantees already, but the Rams will likely scale it up for him. They'll likely add some incentives for winning a Super Bowl. There will be new money for Myles Garrett as part of this deal, I am sure, in some form or fashion, even though it doesn't really seem like he necessarily needs a contract extension. So I'm going to reverse my no or my yes originally. It's not going to be a true extension, but it is going to be a rework of that deal to give him a little bit more cash for the future. All right, another question here from ExoY. I want to say, what would be the move after Myles retires? Should we trade for a young edge or should we draft one? I think that'll depend on the calculus. It's hard to say something. It's hard to predict something like that that's probably 6 or 7 years out, not to do the meme. But I do think Garrett's got a lot of gas left in the tank. He is coming off of a season where he just set the NFL record for single-season sacks. So I don't think his retirement is even like this is not even something I want to talk about. We're talking about divorce at a wedding, my friend. But I do think Garrett's here for the long term. And if you get 6, 7 years down the line and he does retire on you, exactly how you address that is going to depend on the landscape of the NFL 6 to 7 years from now, which is pretty hard to predict this far out, if you understand what I'm saying. I know that's not a super satisfying answer for you, but again, we're not going to talk divorce at a wedding, or A, and B, I do think it's hard to predict exactly what that landscape will be 6 to 7 years out from when we would actually be talking about that discussion happening. Anthony, or Ninthony, I guess. What are the Rams 20-0 odds? It's something like that, my friend. It has got to be. I heard plus 600. So just absolutely ridiculous. Just absolutely ridiculous stuff for this Rams team. I'm not going to use the word lock. I'm not going to say we're locked to win the Super Bowl. It's arrogant. It's too much ego around it. But I truly feel like this team, it's hard to imagine anybody stopping you. It's hard to imagine anybody getting in the way of what this team wants to accomplish with as well built as they are now. All right, let's move on to another question here. What will happen after the 2027 season? I would try to read your name, my friend, but it's something there. Amog Vangapandu. We're going to go for that. Again, I think you're probably thinking about Matthew Stafford with this question. Generally, maybe Myles Garrett now roped into that as well. I think Garrett will still be here. Puka will still be here. I do think McVay is here for the long term as well. I think after the 2027 season, though, guy on my t-shirt, probably not around anymore. Matthew Stafford probably calls it a career at the latest at that point. I think that's... We've kind of heard him talk about that. He'd be 40 years old heading into the 2028 NFL season. He'll turn 40 after the 2027 season is over. His birthday is in May. So I truly think, again, not everybody's Tom Brady, guys. Not everybody's going to play for 40-plus season or 20-plus years and go for life, you know what I mean, until they're 45 and lose their family in the process, all that stuff. I truly think Matthew Stafford wants to focus on his kids. He's got 3 young girls. They clearly mean so much to him, as they absolutely should. I think he wants to continue to play for the Rams for a couple more years, maybe 1, maybe 2, depending on how this next season goes. I don't think him retiring is out of the question if the Rams win the Super Bowl. If the Rams win the Super Bowl, I think from a Stafford perspective, it becomes about what is there left to accomplish in the NFL. What is there? Do I want to try to go back-to-back, get 3 rings? I mean, as much as I would love it, I truly think from a Stafford perspective, you could understand how he looks at that and goes, there's no better ending. Like, you couldn't write a better storybook ending to his career than getting 1 more ring alongside Sean McVay and capping it off, hopefully alongside another MVP trophy as a first ballot Hall of Famer and being considered one of the all-time greats. The way we already look at him, I think the rest of the NFL will as well after that is said and done. But we'll keep answering questions here from the Ramley. They're rolling in, fired up about you guys. But if you're fired up to have Myles Garrett, if you are half as fired up as I am right now, guys, I need you to drop a like on today's stream. We've got 30 likes, but we've got 110 people tuning in right now. 110 members of the Ramley are with us right now, partying with us. This room is getting crowded. This room is getting packed, but we've got plenty more space. So like it up and get this video out to more members of the Ramley. I want to see 50 likes on this video. I know we can get 50 likes on this video. And once we get there, we will get into some more questions. All right, you know what? Let's get to 40. Let's get to 40 likes, and then we'll get into some more questions. We'll start with 40, then we'll get to 50. We'll add some more questions. We'll just keep stacking and rolling. I know the Ramley is fired up enough to get us to 40 likes on today's video. So let's see it happen, and then we will answer some more questions from the Ramley. Where are we at right now? We are at 46. All right, let's get to 50. If you guys are flying like that, if you guys are impressing me already, you guys are setting a high bar. Les Snead just set a high bar. You guys are living up to it. Les Snead just showed us how much he wants to win the Super Bowl. How much do you guys want to get to 50 likes right here? Let's get to 50 likes.
I think they really like this. And see the numbers juicing up here, Durham. I really think the Ramley's very happy about this right now.
I think the Ramley's fired up. But I think we know, but I think we got to show YouTube how fired up the Ramley is by continuing to like today's video. We are over 50 likes. So let's get into our next question here. But keep liking today's video. Keep showing the Ramley, the Ramley already knows. Keep showing YouTube how fired up the Ramley is about getting Myles Garrett.
Don't stop smashing that like button.
Boom. Big time. Just like Gage said. All right. Pedro he's a question for us saying, do you think this happens if the Super Bowl isn't in LA? I do. I do think this happens if the Super Bowl isn't in Los Angeles. I think, obviously, it's nice that the Super Bowl is in Los Angeles. I think you definitely want to be in the Super Bowl when you are hosting it as a team. But throughout the history of the NFL, it's become more common in recent years for a team that's hosting the Super Bowl to play in and win it. We've seen that happen a couple times over the last few years. Obviously, we're one of those instances. But prior to that, it had never happened. In the history of the NFL, in a very long history, that had never happened. So I do think teams... this is a mindset from Les Snead, and I think obviously it's great that the Super Bowl is in Los Angeles. Obviously, it's big for the city. It's big for the Rams as a franchise, and it's great to be there when you are hosting. But the mentality of aggressiveness that Les Snead has had dates back to years. You know what I mean? Like, he does this regardless of whether the Super Bowl is in Los Angeles or in Timbuktu. He wants to be there, and he wants to win it with this Rams team. All right, let's hear another question here. This is a great one. What are the chances the Rams get Aaron Donald back in the building? Oh man. I would absolutely love it. I see a lot of people in the chat also talking about how fun it would be to get AD back. I tweeted at him actually today saying one more, and I don't think he's responded. I seriously doubt it. But a lot of people feeling that way. I'm feeling that way. That was one of the first things that came to mind. It's like, hey, could you create a more alluring environment for Aaron Donald to come out of retirement, for Aaron Donald to come back to the Rams, than to get to play with Myles Garrett, to get to play with Byron Young for at least one more season, and Kobe Turner for another year? Like, how fun would that be for him to come back and get another ring? To put a chance on it, to be completely honest with you guys, it's probably like a 20% chance, and that might be even really strong. Gage looking at me like, I don't know about 20, but it's not super high. At the end of the day, he has said recently on his podcast that he's very happy being retired, and that the Rams have made overtures to bring him back in the past and made it very clear that they would have him back whenever he wants to be back. Maybe this changes the calculus for him, but he has recently said he's pretty happy living his retired life and enjoying himself. And he gave a plenty to this franchise, more than we could have ever asked for. So, again, he does not owe us a comeback season.
You never know. Gronk came back from retirement to play with Brady in Tampa. You never know.
It's true. It's true. He did. Again, 20% chance. I'm going to give you a 20% chance that happens. But, again, we're not entitled to it. You know, at the end of the day, as Rams fans, I think we still have so much appreciation for what AD brought in his career in Los Angeles already, even if he doesn't come back.
He's not needed, but he'll be the cherry on top of this ice cream sundae.
Oh, my gosh. To get him another ring, that alone. Like, even if he isn't, and he would be just because he's Aaron Donald, but, like, even if he does come back and he ends up just kind of being more part of the rotation or something, like Rust is there or something, I would just the fact that he would be able to get another ring as a member of the Rams. And I again, Rams fans, that wouldn't happen. He would be Aaron Donald. Of course he would be Aaron Donald. But even if he wasn't, I just want him to get that ring. Another ring would be incredible for him. You know what I mean? Just for him as a human being.
He deserved to have 2 rings. Like I believe he deserved that Super Bowl 53 ring. That was robbed of him because of how good the Patriots defense was against Todd Gurley that year.
Yes, absolutely. Duffy, did we actually just get Myles Garrett? Yes. Yes, my friend. We did actually just get Myles Garrett. We did actually just get Myles Garrett. All right. Could the Rams' Byron Young replacement be Josiah Stewart? Ooh, good question. Great question, Anthony. We should have gotten to this. This is a great question. Josiah Stewart absolutely factors into this conversation, and I love that you brought him up. Because, yes, he does. I don't know if superstar potential is the right term, but he is, yes, I would say the immediate replacement to Byron Young in terms of like who's going to step up. If Byron Young steps out, that's going to be Josiah Stewart. And I think he's got a bigger role this season. I think he does have a bigger role this season to play for this team without Jared Verse in there. Again, it can't just be Myles Garrett every single down. So the down-to-down rotation is going to become Josiah Stewart. There's going to be some opportunities for him. We saw him get more opportunities in really big moments in the playoffs, especially against Chicago. He was on the field a lot in moments that mattered against that Bears team. They trust him. They trust their development process with this position. He's in the same mold as Byron Young and as Jared Verse. I think he offers a lot of that same stuff. I'm not saying he's as good as those guys are, but I do truly think he is a huge part of the calculus of feeling okay with like, hey, you know what? We can move on from Jared Verse, and if it push comes to shove, we can move on from Byron Young too, because we have this guy from Michigan, Josiah Stewart, who a lot of people don't talk about, who a lot of people don't know about just yet, but will very soon. So great point, Anthony, for bringing him up. Really, really good stuff. Ramley as sharp as ever. All right, Sonox Films. Rams, does this make it so any additional free agency pickups, are now off the table, like Kenny Moore or Stephon Diggs? Probably yes. I don't think you're going to go out and get Kenny Moore or Stephon Diggs at this point. I need to see exact cap numbers to confirm that that's the case. But again, it does become a question of like, hey, Stephon, how bad do you want a ring, man? Like, you made a lot of money in your career. If we can get you on the books for vet minimum, you in? You know what I mean? Like, if that's the case, then that's the case, and we can make it happen. And I would love to have Stephon Diggs as part of that receiver depth chart as another upgrade to the depth in that room. But again, it's about what are these guys willing to accept at this point in their careers. They both made pretty good money. Kenny Moore, I'm not 100% sure what his earnings are, but Stephon Diggs has definitely made great money in his NFL career. So a season at vet minimum is not going to break the bank for him. If he wants to take it to get that ring, he came really close last season. This could be the best opportunity he's ever had to go get one. Maybe it works out for the Rams. Maybe they make that happen. But again, that's going to be more on Diggs and Kenny Moore to decide, I'm willing to take a massively discounted contract here because I want to go win a Super Bowl. I want that more than I want money at this point in my career. And that would be up on them to decide that. But again, yeah, it's devaluing yourself in the work market, which is hard for people to do, just generally. Another good question here. How do you think Garrett's contract will be set up in upcoming years? So he already has a deal on the books. We were talking about this earlier It's 160 over 4 that was signed back in 2025 in the offseason. So they've already extended Myles Garrett. They made him the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history pretty recently. So he's no longer that. He's since been surpassed, excuse me. But I do think the Rams will want to rework aspects of that and give him incentive opportunities at the very least, if not just straight up give him more cash outright. So I don't expect that contract to go untouched, but I don't think they necessarily need to extend him. He's under contract until he's 35 years old. So that deal is still there with the Rams, but they'll probably want to give him more guaranteed money. They'll probably want to rework aspects of that contract. So expect change, but not necessarily an outright extension, if that makes sense. He doesn't need an extension. He's already under contract until he is 35 years old, which I think at that point, Myles Garrett is Myles Garrett, but an NFL player at 35, you're going to want to rework or at least kind of have a pause on that at that point and be like, hey, Myles Garrett, are we still Myles Garrett right now? Or are we 35-year-old Myles Garrett? What does that look like? Impossible to say at this point. It's so far out. But I think it's more possible to say, what's he going to do in 2026? And I want to ask you guys, how many sacks is Myles Garrett bringing in 2026? How many sacks does Myles Garrett get for this Rams team in 2026? Let me know in the comments. Sonox Films giving it 21.5. SGA saying 25. Dude, he might do what you just did and win an MVP if he gets 25 sacks. 24 from Duffy. These would both be NFL records, by the way. 20.5 from Cadbara. 22 from Joseph Guyton. 25 from Zach McGuigan. That's another NFL record. 24 for Kobe. I love it. I love it, Brent Mirando. I love it. 24 for Kobe. That is legendary. Pick up Diggs next, and we're Super Bowl bound, says Hyena Eats. Hey, I think we're Super Bowl bound with or without Diggs. I'm not going to lie. I think I like to have Diggs. That'd be upgrade for the depth of the receiver 3 spot. We've talked about that a lot on this channel. For those of you who are already subscribed, if you're not already subscribed, make sure you join us. If this is your first time on the Rams Report, join our Ramily here, guys. This is not a first-time thing here. We cover every single piece of Rams breaking news. And one of the things we've been talking about a lot on our videos lately is that third receiver spot. So yes, Diggs absolutely would be an upgrade for that. But at this point, you don't need him. At this point, you just don't need Stephon Diggs to go win a Super Bowl. Would he help? Would he be another awesome piece? Yeah. But, like, look at this roster, man. I can't tell you how excited I am about this roster. So, again, let me know how many sacks is Myles Garrett getting in 2026. And let's keep answering questions. Here we go. From SGA, the MVP himself, do you think the Rams adding McDuffie and Garrett makes them a top 3 defense? Yes, I do. I think it does. I think they're right there with the Seattle Seahawks. They're right there with the Houston Texans. That defense is as good as any in the NFL. And I know Texans and Seahawks fans will balk at that because, A, Seahawks fans balk at everything I say. But, B, we haven't seen this one in action yet. We've seen theirs in action. I grant that for sure. But how could it not be? Myles Garrett has been near single-handedly carrying piss-poor Browns teams to great performances on the defensive end. If not as a whole team, I'm not saying that. But their defenses have remained consistently one of the better in the NFL the entire time he's been there. And there has not been a supporting cast like there is right now for him with this Rams team. I just truly do not see a way where if Myles Garrett is, again, as what he's been his entire NFL career, how this team could not be a top 3 defense. How this defense could not be dominant for us this year. And again, that was all we were missing. You go back to last season, just a dominant defense away, just a defense that could really get any stops from winning a Super Bowl, from beating the Seahawks in the NFC Championship and steamrolling the Patriots in the Super Bowl, like we all know would have happened. Like Jared Verse, bless his heart, see you in Cleveland, brother. He said on that stream, we would have beaten you guys in the Super Bowl. If you guys know what I'm talking about, he's on a stream with a Patriots player. I think it was Amari Gaynor off the top of my head. He told him, we would have beaten you guys in the Super Bowl. Everybody knows it. Everybody knows it. But we just didn't have the defense to get there. And now we do. Now we have the defense that we need to get there. We absolutely do. All right. Andrew Solis coming in with another question here. Do you believe the Rams will make any more big trades? I kind of think we're done. I kind of think this is the crown jewel of the offseason. I thought it was McDuffie. And then in some ways, I think from their perspective, it was Ty. But now clearly it is Myles Garrett. Absolutely, it is Myles Garrett. And I just don't know that you could, like, maybe a small one, if there's a small opportunity at the deadline, if something is clear, like, hey, we could upgrade in this area, the receiver room just not where we want it to be, there's an opportunity to go make a move, send a 7th-round pick or something for somebody, then something like that maybe. But to your question of big trades, no. Off the table at this point. You really don't have the assets anymore. You've given up so much over the next couple of years as far as the drafts go, and I'm okay with what they've given up. Again, F them picks. I don't care. But I think at the end of the day, like you do want to draft at least a couple times, and I think what they want to hold on to what they have left is at least that's where I'm going to leave it. And also, like, who at this point are you making a big trade for? Throw a name out in the comments that you feel like the Rams need to go make a big trade for. Brian Thomas Jr., maybe like the only one that would come to mind for me. And I think like with Garrett on the books now, that contract is just almost untenable. Another question here from Tamayo, 7035. Last year we had a lot of issues with special teams. How do you think we will do this year with all of the new additions? Much better. I think a couple of the main core things that we had going wrong with special teams came down to coaching. And coaching is should be massively improved with Bubba Ventrone. I think Bubba Ventrone, that direction should be much better for this Rams special teams unit. I like him bringing in one of his guys too in Grant Stewart, who obviously provides more depth to that linebacker room as well, but is also just a really great add for this special teams unit, a true special teamer, and somebody that Ventrone knows can be a leader for him in that room. So, again, I do think that's a room that takes a big step forward in 2026, a room that is improved over just being an outright liability last season. All right, guys, producer Gage letting me know we got a big line right now. We got a lot of questions rolling in, a lot of questions rolling in, which is understandable. I know you guys are excited right now. I'm excited that you're excited. Don't get me wrong. Don't stop the questions. But if you are like, hey, I asked something a while ago and I haven't heard you guys answer it yet, it's because of the line. But if you want to skip it, send a super chat. If you want a super chat on today's show, support what we do here on the Rams Report and here at Chat Sports, feel free to do so, and we will answer your question right away as a thank you to you supporting the show. And then, of course, we'll get back to our friends who are not sending in money. We know not everybody can send in super chats. Not everybody can. But for those who can, those who feel like they want to support the show and get their question answered immediately, feel more than free to do so. And we always appreciate your support here on the Rams Report and here at Chat Sports. But let's keep rolling with another question from Zach McGuigan. Do you think AD will come back to the Rams now after seeing Garrett join? Again, we did talk about Aaron Donald potentially coming back and the odds of that happening. I gave it a 20% chance in the past. I gave it a 20% chance earlier on this stream, and I think I'm going to stick around a 20% chance. If you had to ask me, like, do you think it'll happen? No, is the answer ultimately. I just think from what Aaron has told us, as fun as that would be, as crazy awesome as it would be, and it truly would be crazy awesome to bring Myles Garrett back bring Aaron Donald, back into this fold. I just think he's pretty happy being retired, guys. I think at the end of the day, he played a great NFL career. He accomplished everything he wanted to accomplish in the league. He's told us that many times, and he doesn't feel a compulsion to come back. I think at the end of the day, I do think it's unlikely. If this changes things for him, the more the merrier, man. We'd never turn him down. Like, there's never going to be a day where I'm upset that Aaron Donald is a Los Angeles Ram. There's never going to be a day where I'm mad that Aaron Donald is back. It's not going to happen. I would be over the moon if Aaron Donald joined this team again. But I can't tell you I think it's going to happen, if that makes sense. All right, we got a couple super chats. Big shout out to Joseph Guyton. Let me know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, Joseph. Huge thank you to you, my friend, for your super. This is, in fact, the first super in channel history, at least in live channel history. This is the first super. So a huge honor for Joseph and for us to be the first super and to receive our first super. Channel support means everything to us on this channel. It's a huge part of why we can do what we can do. So we always appreciate those who are willing to financially support our channel. And I think he did have a question with his second one.
He did. That's loaded up. Oh, just load up right now as we were speaking. Perfect.
Awesome. Okay, here we go. Do you think Myles Garrett will get doubled less now? And he said $4.99. Let's give it up for Joseph. Let's give it up for Joseph. Big thank you to you, brother. Big thank you to you.
Spam JG's down below for Joseph.
Spam JG in the chat to send a thank you to Joseph, to do what I just did and give a round of applause to Joseph. That's your way of doing it. Give a JG in the chat for me right now while I answer his question. Do you think Myles Garrett will be getting doubled less now? Yes, absolutely he will. Yes, there's better pass rushers around him now. With Kobe Turner's going to eat up too much attention in the middle of that defense for them to double team him nearly as much as they did, for them to ever really triple team him. I think you're freeing up Byron Young too much. I think you're freeing up Kobe Turner too much. You're freeing up Puka Ford too much. Big Puka Ford's going to be getting after QBs. You give him too many singles. At the end of the day, they cannot afford to go one-on-one with our defense all day long with everybody else on that group like they could with the Browns. This is going to be a force. Yeah, I talk about force multipliers a lot. It's one of my favorite phrases, especially on the defensive side of the ball, because I think you see it the most there. Myles Garrett is as big of a force multiplier as there is in the NFL. And truly, he will be force multiplied by Kobe Turner and Byron Young as well. Those guys are also force multipliers. So now you have the biggest one ever. So they're going to get better. Plus, he's going to be even better than he ever was. I am so excited about the way this team is rolling right now. And to see them get after the quarterback. To see them, because again, you go back to last year. What was the issue in the playoffs? Even against Chicago, even in a game we won against that Bears team, what did Caleb Williams do to us? Why is he going to be the Madden cover athlete this year? Because he hit a fadeaway shot from 40 yards out because we couldn't get him on the ground. That's going to change now. Myles Garrett gets his ass on the ground. And he does it way faster. You don't have time to run around like a buffoon with Myles Garrett chasing you. There's no 40-yard pass to the house if Myles Garrett is there. That game doesn't go to overtime. That game is over right there, and we win it much sooner, and we win it much more comfortably. I truly feel that Garrett is the difference between moments like that last season, moments like Sam Darnold shredding you last season in the NFC Championship game alongside Jackson Smith and Jigba. That does not happen if he is constantly seeing ghosts. Remember that, Sam? From Myles Garrett. It's not going to be ghosts. It's going to be Garrett this time around. How about that bar for you there? All right, we got another super coming in from Juice. Appreciate you, Juice. Been here since the channel started. Love y'all. We love you too, brother. We love you too. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. To everybody who already has sent in a super chat, thank you, thank you, thank you. To everybody who wants to get their question answered right away, feel free to send in a super chat, just like our friend Joseph did, just like our friend Juice did. Big ups to you guys. Let's keep rolling with another question that we got here. What do you think the best eras of the Rams are throughout our Rams history? That's a great question. I would say the best era of Rams football, almost unquestionably, has to be Greatest Show on Turf. That has to be number one because you get your first Super Bowl. Like, at the end of the day, that's where it really began with Kurt Warner and this team getting back on track. And, of course, there were some pretty disaster seasons there in the middle. But then, go close second. I think right now the McVay era is the second behind Greatest Show on Turf. You get a second ring, this is the greatest era in Rams football. Right now, we are living in the greatest era in Rams football if you get a second ring. But behind that, there's some great years. Go back in this Rams history. I was looking at a graphic, and it's the 70s, I believe, off the top of my head, where we had so many NFC Championship appearances and losses. Somebody did a graphic flipping all of the NFC Championship losers to winners to what the Super Bowl matchup would have been. And we're in so many scattered Super Bowls because we have a number of NFC Championship losses. There are some really close to great eras in Rams history, but what we're finally realizing is the greatness. And you saw that greatness realized initially in the Greatest Show on Turf era, but now you're really seeing McVay take this franchise to the greatest heights it's ever been at, in my opinion, right now. This is, I think we are living in the greatest era of Rams football once we capture that second ring. And it is coming. It truly, truly is coming. All right, we got another super chat from Joseph.
Yep.
He is on a roll.
It's loaded up right now as we speak. I'll let you know when it comes in, Ramley.
All right.
We'll
Do we have another question we can answer while it loads up? Oh, perfect. It is loaded up. All right. What's the record prediction for this year now? We have all of our pieces because, like you said, I think we are done getting new pieces. I agree. We're going to do a revised record prediction video very soon. So very soon, revised record prediction video coming for you guys. But right now, give me 15-2. Give me 15-2. Without even looking at the schedule, I'm at 15-2 right now. With Myles Garrett on this team, I think this team maybe loses 2 games. I think you lose 2 games. That's 15-2. That's my solid prediction for you right now. I'd say 17-0, but that would just be crazy biased. I don't know. 15-2. That's where I'm going to leave it right now. All right. We have another question here. What if the Rams trade for Will Anderson? Holy cow. All right. Well, we're going live again. That would be the first thing that would happen. Yeah, I don't really, Will Anderson, you'd have to give up Myles. That's the only way I think you'd make that happen at this point. You don't have the draft picks to do it anymore. I think Will Anderson may be one of the few players in the NFL, though, and I think Chugs would verify this for me, our Texans host, who covers this team very closely, that I think he's almost truly untradeable. I don't think that the Texans would move him for anything less than 3 consecutive years of firsts plus additional capital on that. He's just at that level, and they have him locked up for a very long time. I don't think Will Anderson is moving. He's a career Texan unless that team falls off the wagon like the Browns did with Myles Garrett, and he demands his way out. I think he's going to be locked in with Houston, and if he does ever move, it's probably not to be to Los Angeles unless it's after the Myles Garrett era. At the end of the day, we're always going to keep it realistic with you guys. Trading for Will Anderson, just not that realistic. So, again, probably not. Another question, though, from Tamayo7035. With this new trade, which game are you most excited to see this season? A great, great question. I think my number one is still revenge in Week 16 against Seattle on Christmas. We'll be live for that one, just like we are right now. So make sure you're subscribed because you're not going to want to miss a moment of that live stream. It's going to be an absolute blast. But I'm so fired up to see us kick Seattle's ass. I want to beat that team so badly right now. And I know Seahawks fans might clip this and be like, well, all they do is think about the Seahawks. I don't care. There is nothing I want more as far as the Rams go right now than to see them beat the brakes off of Seattle, than to see them crush this Seahawks team. Because, God, that fan base has been smug this offseason. Deservedly so. You got a ring. Can't talk. But, man, I want to shut them up. And we have the gunpowder, the firepower to do it now. We made it happen this offseason with an eye for making sure that this bullshit never happens again. That Jackson Smith and Jigba is not going for what? 300 plus yards on our team in 3 games? Was it something like that? Like 300? We have a graphic of it, Gage, if you want to find it and pull it up. We have over 300 yards in 3 games from Jackson Smith and Jigba to this Rams secondary, to this Rams defense as a whole. There's no other way around it. He owned you last season. He owned this defense last season. And it pains me to say that. Gage pulling the numbers. If you don't agree, look, numbers speak for themselves. We got just crushed by this dude last season. Couldn't stop him. There's a reason why he won Offensive Player of the Year. 27 receptions for 354 yards, 2 tutties against our team in 3 games, man. You can't let that happen. That's not a recipe for winning football games, is letting somebody like that shred you time and time again. So what did you do? You fixed it. You looked at this defense and you said, it's not good enough. It's bad. It's ass. It's trash. We cannot roll with this again. We have to make some moves. And they did. And they didn't just pitter-patter around and sign BS veterans. No. They went out and made aggressive plays for some of the league's biggest stars. They go trade for all-pro corner Trent McDuffie. And then they do something even bigger than that. You didn't think that could be topped, but Les Snead said, hold my beer, and he trades for Myles Garrett. Oh, yeah, and I didn't even mention he signed Jalen Watson, too. This defense is so ready to give belt to Seattle, and man, I cannot wait to see it. So to bring it all back around to the question that I'm answering right now, which game am I most excited to see this season? Any of the ones against Seattle. Any of the ones against Seattle. Any of the ones where we get to give belt to Sam Darnold, Jackson Smith, and Jigba, and that team up there. Because, man, I'm sick of it with them. And I cannot wait to see us get a huge, much, much needed win. And if you feel the same way, as I do and you have not already, like today's stream. Drop a like on today's stream. And if you've got a question for us, use hashtag Rams to get on the show as well. But if you're fired up to have Myles Garrett, if you're fired up to see Myles Garrett in this new look Rams defense give belt to the Seattle Seahawks, belt to that team up north who got the NFC West last year, like today's stream. Drop a like on today's show if you are fired up about that. Because how could you not be? How could you not be fired up about that? Engage, is it time to give a shout out to the sponsor of today's show? It absolutely is, guys. We need to give a shout out to America's #1 sports picks app, Prize Picks. If you love daily fantasy sports or you just want to add more excitement to watching sports, guys, you've absolutely got to try out Prize Picks. It's a great time to get started on Prize Picks, too. With the NBA playoffs underway and the baseball season in full swing as well, there's no better place to get in on all that action than Prize Picks. And it's never been easier to play than it is with Prize Picks. Guys, all you have to do to put together your lineup is pick 2 to 6 players. You're selecting more or less on their stat projections, whether you're picking from points, assists, rebounds, hits, home runs, or strikeouts. They've got plenty of options from all your favorite sports. Plus, Prize Picks has awesome social features, guys. They allow you to easily tail or fade your friends or even your favorite creators like me. I'm on there at Jackson Durham with no spaces. You guys can drop a follow and see all of my latest lineups, including this one that I've got going for the NBA Finals action. I'm rolling with the moron Jalen Brunson, the Brunson burner. I'm going with the moron Karl Anthony Towns, and I'm going with the moron Stephon Castle. So you guys can tail me on this lineup. You can fade me on this lineup. Whatever you do, just do it with our friends over at Prize Picks. And if you've never played with Prize Picks before, make sure you use our promo code. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code HMA when you play your first $5 lineup to receive $50 in lineups. That's code HMA when you play your first $5 lineup to get an extra $50 in lineups with Prize Picks. Again, the clickable link to download the app is in the comments and the description below. As always, big shout out to Prize Picks for sponsoring today's show. We really appreciate you. All right, let's get back to talking. Oh, we got another super chat. Joseph, you're on a roll, brother. You are on a roll, brother. Spam those JGs. Spam those JGs, Ramley. Get some JGs going in the chat. I absolutely need to see some love towards Joseph.
You know what else? We're
Yeah.
almost at 100 likes on today's video. Let's keep this thing
Boom!
going.
Boom! Keep liking it up, Ramley. Keep liking it up. Let's get over 100 likes to thank JG for his another super chat. And let's answer his question here. With all the new additions, do you think Shula will stop with the soft zone and trust our corners now and be more aggressive? I do. I think that's a big process part of bringing in Trent McDuffie and Jalen Watson specifically, alongside not only doing that, but moving off of Aubrey and bringing in Jimmy Lake. At the end of the day, that's a significant move that the Rams made this offseason. Promoting Jimmy Lake to pass game coordinator and defensive back coach has a huge effect on the way you're likely to see this defense play out, especially because he has an existing connection with Trent McDuffie already. And that team at Washington was a physical press coverage team at times. I do think you'll see that for McDuffie and Watson, who both thrive in those kinds of settings. You'll see this team lean in on more man coverage this year because they have the horses to play it. That was a huge part of why they weren't playing press man last season, why they weren't trusting guys in man coverage, because they didn't have anybody to trust. Like, are you going to trust Kobe Durant one-on-one with Jackson Smith and Jigba? No, that's crazy. You can't do that. You cannot leave Kobe Durant on an island with JSN. He'll give you 200 yards in that single game. You can't leave him on an island with Emmanuel Forbes. None of the guys we had last year could be on an island with anybody of that caliber. Now you have guys who can. Now you have guys who can go one-on-one and be JSN stoppers for you, and that's huge. That is a huge component of why you make all of these aggressive plays, because you want to be able to play that man coverage because it's more effective for this team. All right, here's another question rolling in. We have a couple supers rolling in as well. We will be getting to you guys very shortly. The Ramley is so fired up today. I love the energy that we have in this stream right now, guys. I am loving the energy that we have on the show right now. But let's answer C3PO's question here. How does this affect the Puka extension situation? I think, we talked about Puka a little earlier, but we'll hit it again for anybody who's just joining us now. I think the calculus with Puka remains unchanged. Like, you have plenty of cap space to bring Myles Garrett in, have him on the books, and then also extend Puka Nacua. Because a lot is going to roll off the books for the Rams over the next couple seasons, and there are some tough decisions that are going to need to be made with other members of this 2023 draft class. But Puka he's never felt like a decision to me until he kind of made it one, right? Like, that's been the only component for the Rams that's felt even somewhat questionable, is can they trust him? And I think this offseason he's shown he is worthy of trust. He has the maturity level to be trustworthy for this Rams franchise. They'll give him his money. It's just a matter of time. They like to do their extensions in the fall, right before the season gets started, August, September range. That is where we are going to likely see that Puka extension. But it's coming, my friends. Just be patient, like Puka has been this summer. He's taken his lumps. Absolutely, he has. He's had to learn from some mistakes off the field, 100%. But he's been patient, and he's going to get his money very soon. Let's hear from Shovak. Hey, this is very kind, my friend. Just want to say you're doing a great job, Jackson. Love the daily Rams posts on Instagram and YouTube. Rams got it this year at SoFi. Horns up. Horns up indeed, Shovak. Thank you so much for the compliment. That means the world. And for the $10 super chat, brother. We absolutely appreciate your support, both financially, obviously, but also by watching our content, both daily on Instagram and on YouTube, which, hey, that's a good reminder to tell the people, we got a great Instagram going. I hate to toot my own horn, but I'll do it when you make me, Shovak. We have a Rams Report Instagram. We're almost at 9,000 followers. I think we're over 8,500 followers over there. So if you're not already tuned in for near daily content, it is pretty much daily. It's been a little bit less than daily lately with me doing some travel, but we'll be back to daily Rams videos on Instagram. Those shorts also go to YouTube as well, but I'll post a lot of other Rams Instagram content that doesn't quite get out to YouTube. So if you want to see everything that we've got going on as far as the Rams are concerned, make sure you tune in on Instagram at the Rams Report IG as well. And let's hear from Super Creech, who also sent in a super chat. Big shout out to you, Super Creech. What's their record this year? My friend, I'm going to go 15-2. We were talking about this earlier. I think it was Joe who shouted out for a record prediction. Yes, it definitely was Joe, now that I remember it. I'm 15-2 right now. I said 11-6, and And when we did our first video on record predictions, and I wish I could take it back because it feels too harsh. But now that'd be ridiculous. Like, this team is so talented. It is easily the most talented team in the NFL. It's hard to see a game all season long where you're not going to be favored. I truly think you're going to be favored in every single game all year. I'm not saying they go 17-0, but I do think they go 15-2. I think 15-2 is my solid record prediction for you, Ramley. Let me take a drink of water and we'll get into this next question. Joe! Whoa! Big time super from Joe. Let's answer World War II Masters question here, and then we will get into a big time super from Joe. We got some friends in the studio as well. We'll address you guys in just 1 second here. All right, let's hear the question. I think we're set if only we don't have a punt returner that doesn't drop the ball. Absolutely. Yeah, at the end of the day, yeah, you're a punt returner away from winning the NFC Championship last season. Absolutely. And again, Xavier Smith is still around. Xavier Smith is still here. But at the end of the day, yeah, I mean, it hurts to even think about it. Yes, you're pretty much one punt returner that doesn't drop the ball away from getting it done last year. And now I think even if you do have a punt returner that drops the ball, like, you're covered in events like that. That's the Myles Garrett difference. That's the Trent McDuffie, Jalen Watson plus Myles Garrett difference of, like, the mistakes, the margins aren't as close anymore. You know what I mean? Like, the gap between you and the Seahawks is real now. I think last season those rosters were equivalent. Those rosters were just as good as one another. But now we feel markedly better. We've gotten so much better this offseason, and I truly feel that they have gotten worse. And I think even if they hadn't gotten worse, that they're still a really good team. But I think we are much better at this point. I think we are much better than the Seattle Seahawks. But let's get to Joe's 20. Oh, okay. 1 second on Joe's $20 super chat. Oh my goodness, man. Bang. What a super from Joe. Wow. He says, I got to show more love. This is my first live tuning into. Do you think Ty Simpson will be ready when his time comes? Joe, you are showing a ton of love, and we absolutely appreciate it, brother.
I love this a lot. This is awesome.
We're having so much fun with you guys right now. Me and Gage, we are absolutely having so much fun with you guys right now. We didn't know what to expect. To your point, you said this is your first live tuning into. We've only been live a couple times on the Rams Report. So I was like, I want to go live today because I want to celebrate this. I have so much energy that I have to get out right now, and the only way to do that is to be live celebrating with other Rams fans, in my opinion. But I'm so thankful to you guys for the energy that you've shown back, the great vibes that you've shown back. My coworker Mitch, he always says, you put good vibes out into the world will give you good vibes back. And we're absolutely seeing that on today's episode of the Rams Report, on today's Rams Report stream. But to answer your question, Joe, do you think Ty Simpson will be ready when his time comes? Yes, I do. I've talked about this a lot, but I have so much faith in Ty. And not just faith in Ty. I think it's about more than just believing in Ty Simpson and the talent that Ty Simpson has. It's about believing in the Rams process, what the Rams have done over the last couple of years to prepare a Ty Simpson to have the kind of success that he has. They have Matthew Stafford in place. They have Sean McVay in place. They have Nate Scheelhaus in place, at least for his rookie season. Maybe he gets picked off by a team to go be their head coach one day soon. But there is so much going for Ty Simpson. Even Stetson Bennett can contribute to his development. A guy who had so much success at the college level. Obviously, NFL success has not been there yet for Stetson Bennett, but there's a lot to learn even from what he was able to accomplish at Georgia from a guy that only played 15 games. He could not be surrounded more, put into a better position to succeed as a quarterback than I think any quarterback he's right there with any quarterback who's been drafted in NFL history in terms of being in the best position to have long-term success, especially without much pressure right now. There's so much time for him to develop in a low-pressure setting, for him to take his time and learn what he needs to learn before he'll be thrust into the fire. Even if it's just one full season behind Matthew Stafford, even if we get this ring like we're going to at the end of this season, and we roll out and Matthew Stafford says, you know what, guys, it's been a great run, but I'm retiring on this note. That's still a full year for Ty Simpson, plus next offseason for him to develop, for him to be ready, for Sean McVay and this team to feel really good about the kid that they drafted last season. And I think to some degree they already do. You don't draft a guy 13th overall if you don't feel great about him, and they absolutely do. All right, guys. We got another super in here from Steven saying, any chance Aaron Donald comes back? This has been a question over the last couple of, we've had this a couple times, and I'm going to say exactly what I said the last couple times too, which is just, I appreciate your super again, Steven, but I don't know if Aaron comes back. I think it's about a 20% chance is where I would put it. I think right now you look at this roster, and of course it's more tempting than maybe it's ever been for Aaron to return to the Los Angeles Rams, for Aaron to come back to this roster. But at the end of the day, is it still he seems really happy retired. I'm going to say what I just said the last time I answered it, but I truly think he feels really happy and really satisfied, I think is the right word, with what he accomplished in his NFL career. I wish to some degree there was maybe just a hunger for one more season and one more ring, but I do think at the end of the day, Aaron Donald is satisfied with what he accomplished in the NFL. That's why he retired. That's why he stepped away. And that's kind of what he's vocalized on his podcast recently is, at the end of the day, I accomplished everything I wanted to accomplish at the NFL level. All the dreams that I had for my career were achieved. And so at this point, is he coming back? 20% chance. I give it a 20% chance. Again, it's never been more tempting, but is there enough temptation? Could you dangle a big enough carrot in front of Aaron Donald to bring him back at all? I just don't know at the end of the day if there is a big enough carrot to bring him back from retirement where he does just seem really, really, really happy. But again, if there's never been a more enticing situation than what the Rams have created right now for Aaron Donald with Myles Garrett on this team, which for those of you just joining us, if you're just joining us and you haven't really had the chance to celebrate it with us yet, celebrate right now by liking today's stream. If you are fired up to have Myles Garrett as a member of the Los Angeles Rams, if you are fired up for Garrett to be a Ram here on the Rams Report, drop a like on today's video. Again, send the message out to YouTube how fired up the Ramily is right now about having Myles Garrett, about making the biggest blockbuster trade since Micah Parsons, and I would say even bigger than the Micah Parsons trade, a huge move for Myles Garrett. An unbelievable move for Myles Garrett. Something I woke up this morning, I had no clue that this was coming. I will not lie to you guys at all. If you are as fired up as I am, drop a like on today's stream. And keep dropping those questions if you've got any more questions for us about this Myles Garrett trade. I think we're going to round up pretty soon here as we get to that point. Okay. Yeah, let's do a 2-minute timer. If we get another super chat in the next 2 minutes, we'll stay live for a little bit longer and keep answering questions. But I do have to let Gage get back to helping some other people around the office. But I so much gratitude to those guys who did come out and celebrate with us today on live, especially to those who have sent in super chats today. You guys are unbelievable. You guys have been absolutely awesome. Just beyond my expectations of what this stream would have been. So much. So thankful that you guys came out to celebrate with us because I have had just an absolute blast. I have had a total blast celebrating with you guys today. So we're starting that 2-minute shot clock. If you want to get a last-minute question in for the Rams, hey, Gage shyly saying, tell Gage I said what's up in the chat. So from one Gage to another. Gage is fired up. Gage is fired up. All right. So if you want to get one last question in, use hashtag Rams. If you want to get your question right to the front of the line, one more super chat. We absolutely appreciate your support. But a minute 30 left on our shot clock here before we get out of here on today's stream. But again, just so much fun with you guys today. Duffy saying, what was the point of the Ty Simpson pick just to extend Matthew Stafford not too long after? At the end of the day, we talked about this. It's to secure your quarterback of the future because you don't think you're going to have that opportunity to pick a guy that early and then free up future draft capital to be win now. Again, you don't get Myles Garrett if you don't draft Ty Simpson. If you didn't use that pick on Ty Simpson, then you got to be more protective of future picks, and you can't trade them away for a Myles Garrett. You need those to potentially get your quarterback. So again, part of the ethos of going for it now is being able to make a deal like this to get a Myles Garrett. So again, if you like having Myles Garrett, but you don't like having Ty, they had to be together. You couldn't have done one without the other. They are deeply intertwined at the end of the day. So again, I think at the end, it's about long-term development, and it's about this guy being a huge part of this team for the future. Ooh, another super from Joe saying he's going to end on this note. We'll get his super up in 1 minute. Perfect. Amazing way to end the stream from Joe. Thank you, brother. Amazing way to end the stream. It is loading in right now. We'll get your super up on screen in just 1 second here, Joe. But again, to finish on this point, for why do the Rams do this? Because I understand. Again, you extend Matthew Stafford shortly after. You want to keep him around as long as possible. It's because you feel like, A, we'd like to go as long as we want to go with Matthew Stafford, but we also felt like there was an opportunity to get a long-term franchise quarterback who's still young enough by the time that Matthew Stafford is likely to be done that it still makes perfect sense to spend a first-round pick on him at that time. Absolutely it is. All right, one more question there before we get a super quick answer. How many years is Myles Garrett's contract? He is under contract until he is 35 years old in 2030, so all the way through 2030. And perfect. We've got Joe's super chat up here. Thank you again, Joe. You have been the MVP of today's stream, bar none. Spam JG one more time for me, randomly, as we get out of here. But he says, I'm going to end on this note. I've got to get back to work. I love this channel, bro, and I just wanted to say have a good day, man. Everyone have a good day. What a great message to round out our stream from JG, Joe Guyton. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Again, Joe, you got to let me know if I am in the chat below. But we appreciate everybody who rolled with us today. We especially appreciate JG and all of our super chatters who brought so much energy. But everybody in the chat was bringing energy. Everybody in the chat, you are your own MVP. But our MVP of the stream is JG for sure. It has got to be JG. But we're all big winners today with picking up Myles Garrett. Every winner, every Rams fan is a winner. It is a great day to be a member of the Ramily. So if you're not already subscribed, make sure you subscribe. We've got more content coming around Myles Garrett very, very soon. But that's going to do it for today's stream. Again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. And as always, let's go Rams.